le Seigneur. Il est là avec nous, avoir confiance en lui. Essayer de vraiment répondre à son amour par le nôtre. Et puis aussi, la grâce de vivre en communauté. Pour moi, ça a été comme un appui d'ailleurs. C'est pourquoi j'ai choisi une EHPAD où était la Sainte-Union. Je remercie le Seigneur, vraiment. Là, il me conduisait dans des différents lieux d'éducation. Moi, j'ai quand même eu 40 ans d'enseignement. J'ai travaillé avec des personnes handicapées. J'ai vécu avec elles en foyer. Partout, j'ai su m'adapter. Et j'ai eu la joie de ma vie, c'est vrai. Partout, je suis passée.
Oui, ma soeur. Et pendant les moments de difficulté, qu'est-ce que tu donnes comme conseil? Comment surmonter ces difficultés? Quand on rencontre...
Aimer.
Oui.
Moi, je n'ai qu'un mot.
Oui.
Dans ma vie, c'était aimer. Parce que ma devise, c'était le sourire, tu vois. Ça a été depuis le départ de ma vie. Et j'essaie de maintenir ce contact avec les personnes qui m'entourent. Pas toujours facile d'y répondre, parce que oui, il faut se connaître quand même et savoir ce qui peut faire plaisir à l'autre et puis l'aider à vivre. Mais tu vois, quand je vois les personnes, comment je vais dire, il ne faut pas leur parler vraiment de la maladie. Essayer de justement que les personnes puissent penser à autre chose pour vivre. Parce que quand on voit toujours le mauvais côté, on a un mot positivé, quoi, si tu veux. Il faut aimer ce que l'on fait. Que ce soit que tu fasses classe, que tu sois à l'hôpital ou autre. Pour moi, le principal, c'est aimer, tu vois. Je ne peux pas dire beaucoup de choses, parce que si tu fais quelque chose par amour,
c'est tout.
Le travail sera bien fait.
I grew up in a background that was purely Catholic, and the environment was full. There were many nuns and many people around who inspired me, and at that moment, I nursed that desire to become one. But I faced a lot of challenges at that beginning that it was not very easy for me to finally respond to the vocation because my family was not for it. And one thing that has guided me throughout my life is this word from Romans 8, verse 28. Everything works well for the good of those who love God. And that has been my story that has run through all the experiences that I have gone through. Like I'll say, the lessons I have learned in my life as a Holy Union sister is really to trust in God in all situations, especially when it becomes difficult. I always try to see God's hand and to see the light at the end of the tunnel, to say, whatever I am going through will come out for the best, will come out to be what God wants for my life. And entering religious life very young, the enthusiasm and the zeal and the energy I came with, I would say I really, at this point, I'm even surprised that it's already 25 years since I entered. And one of my greatest joy is the energy and that I've been able to use, what I've been able to do for the years, and I see in the different ministries that I have worked in, that joy and that satisfaction of saying I was able to give my youth to God. And one of the things I cherish most is the simplicity and who Holy Union sisters are, and the way from one generation to another, there is a unique spirit among us that whenever you meet a sister, even from another area, you feel this is family, this is Holy Union. when I saw the Holy Union Sisters when I was in St. Mary's in Dub was the welcoming spirit. The welcoming spirit. They welcomed me and I loved them. And I saw the way the sisters were very simple. I said, I think this is my place. So I schooled in St. Mary's and I was in Form 5. And since I left general education to technical, and I was asked if I could go back to Form 3. I said, yes, so long as I become a sister, I'll go back I don't mind going back to Form 3. So that zeal, that fire was burning in me. And with that, I finished and I entered Holy Union. And what has been giving me joy, life, is still the union that we are all living as Holy Union sisters. Because in moments of challenges, I'll find my sisters around me, encouraging me. And I did my best to give out my energy wherever I was sent. And I'm still doing my best till today.
And there was another moment before, again, vocation, but I think these are all little pieces that led to vocation. When I remember this celebration at the Sacred Heart Academy on a December 8th, when the alumni brought their children, and I was one of the children, to the chapel, and we were brought up to the altar and consecrated and received a little medal of the Immaculate Conception. And I was just, when I looked back, I don't remember thinking so much of it then, but when I looked back, I remember what an impression that made on me. That to be celebrated, to be called, to be offered. And then as I went through high school and had several sisters who were very good at teaching, but also very close in relationship and caring. And I think that was one of the things that helped move me into my vocation. When the call came in at the end of high school, my parents asked me to wait a year, which I did, but I just felt there was a whole string of experiencing the love and support of Holy Union, being part of it before I ever committed to being a sister.
And my decision to enter religious life was really welcomed by my family with mixed feelings. So I had a lot of challenges during my years of formation. And my father was really not for it. My mother was for it, but very timidly. Back home in Africa, when the father is not for something, you, the mother, you cannot really come in front and say, okay, I am for it. So they kind of support, but very timidly. So it wasn't easy for me during formation. There were times I left the postulancy and went home for holidays, and my dad would not give me transport to go back because it wasn't for him. He didn't find it normal. It was something very abnormal because, like, for my village where I come from, I am the first, and so it was kind of unheard of. My mother heard a lot of things. People said so many things. Oh, maybe she's going to join this kind of churches with all the kind of churches in Cameroon that we have. So people kind of think like it was one of those churches. So they really had little or no idea about what it is. So it kind of make it difficult for them and on my part too. But even with that difficulties, I still had the inner strength to continue. And a lot of things just turning around me trying to discourage me, but I don't know. Anyway, as I said, there was that inner strength that I had that kept me going. And one of the things that has really kept me going is after my first vow, my dad, who was there and I wasn't expecting, told me when I went home that I have chosen the better path. And I was kind of like, did it really come from you? Because all through you have not been for this. Why now are you like telling me that I chose the better path? So that really gave me some extra energy to say, okay, I wasn't doing the wrong thing. And that has been my inner motivation. Secondly, the sisters in communities too have really been very supportive. And I think for me that is the essence. Because without their support and the support of the family, it would have been a disaster. Imagine you venturing into something that the family is not very sure, and then in the community you don't receive the support, how that can be very challenging. But in spite of everything, I have always been able to tell myself that in everything, I have to give thanks to God. And so that really inspired me when I reflected on the questions. That my reflection make me to kind of choose for my motto, John 21, verse 7, when John the Apostle recognized Jesus after the post resurrection and told Peter that it is the Lord. So at every point in time, I kind of look back and I tell myself it is the Lord, because without him, I don't think I would have been here today. There were so many challenges that came up that could have discouraged me, but up to this moment, I am still able to find my feet and still trusting that God is still calling me. And so at every point in time, when I look back, I always tell myself, and I make that very strong confession, and I say, it is the Lord. He has been the one leading me. He has been the one encouraging me, guiding me, supporting me through all the sisters that I've lived with. And I think I really want to, Sister Pascaline, to say that her beginning with me was not easy, but I think she had a very big role that she played in my very early vocation journey, because it wasn't easy. But as she said, that energy of, I always admire the energy in her, and I tell myself, oh, I think I can do this. And I think that has really encouraged me and kept me going till today. So thank you very much. And I think the love and the simplicity has also inspired me to leave the union of Father de Brabant. And my wish is that we continue living this union, especially in our intercultural context. We try to really be present. And also the idea of going where others have not gone and doing what others have not done, I think is a very strong move in us Holy Union.
So I was almost 40 when I formally entered Holy Union. So at this time, I was making much more mature decisions than I had made the first time. And truthfully, I have never looked back. It has been a wonderful journey. I have made many close friends. And even when we were still two provinces, I felt very much a part of both. In fact, in my initial explorations with Margaret Kernan, I didn't realize we were two provinces, because I was welcomed just as much by the sisters in the former Groton province as in the Fall River province. And my time in Holy Union, I taught for a while. Due to Holy Union, I have had some wonderful experiences, especially my international experiences, that I would not have had otherwise. And I've always been grateful to Holy Union for the support, the encouragement, the acceptance, and I'm just glad to be a part.
What inspired me, I think what inspired me was some sort of I think I was pursued by God rather than the other way around. I'm not sure about that. It took me a long time to make my final decisions. And my family were not very supportive. My mother definitely not. My father said, well, let her try it. She'll be home in 3 months. Either she will come or they will send her. But it didn't happen. So, here I am. And each story you were saying, Yvette, to resonate, and I can feel that resonance like that. And I think maybe what made you feel that was called, but I think I was pursued by God. I tried to, because many of the people, Helen was with me in formation, and some of my close friends, very close friends, left, and it was a really difficult time for me. I thought I wouldn't maybe pursue it, but anyway, I'm here now, and I think that I look back and I look forward, and I think when I hear people saying, what is it that kind of inspired you? I think definitely people mentioned about simplicity, but there's something about, I think it's when I reflect on our current reality in the world, there's something about the gift we've been given, the union. Honest to God, I said to myself, if there was ever a time that I needed to dip into that source in my way of being, small things, always now I think every little thought and action puts a particular energy into our world. And I think that's a gift that I have received from being a member of this congregation. And I think it's a gift that our world really needs. And I sometimes say, maybe if I'm a Holy Union sister for 3 seconds a day, I'm doing pretty well. I kind of encourage myself. We're becoming, I think, always becoming rather than having arrived. So.
But being part of Holy Union, having Holy Union a part of my life for all of my formative years was very important. And the experiences, especially that I had in high school, where we had the opportunity to reach out to the poor. I always wanted to be a teacher. The example of the Holy Union sisters I had, but also this other element of being able to reach out and serve, I think was really the inspiration for me to look at Holy Union. My grandmother had me all set to go to another congregation in which I had cousins, but Holy Union was in my heart. And through all of these years, Holy Union will always be in my heart. And to be able to serve within the context of Holy Union is really important to me.
When I met Holy Union, it was nice. The simplicity of the sisters and the way they dress, the fact that I was not going to be tied down to a pattern of dress for the whole of my life, it was so touching for me. And the times I spent during live-in and getting to know more about the sisters, I felt I was at home. It was like, this is actually what I have been looking for. So with all of this, it kept me going. And for the reaction of my family, it was a mixed reaction. It was a mixed reaction. My father was a kind of disappointed. My mother was, but they were lukewarm. Nobody really held me back. But looking at them, I saw a mixed reaction. But at the end of the day, my father told me, by the way, when you deliver a child, it's not her heart that you have delivered. So even though he was disappointed, he said I should do what I wanted to do. So that is how I found myself in Holy Union. And being in Holy Union, what has kept me till today is the joy that we share together, the concern, and especially when my mother's health was poor, it was time for me. I really felt I was not alone. I felt there are times I would just sit and I will be told, this sister came here. They will call me to say, this sister came here. So it really left a mark in me saying, I am not alone. I really belong somewhere, that they really know me. They think about me and they care about me. And that also left a lot of mark in my family, because each time they always say, those your sisters, they are wonderful.
But as I reflected on it myself, and I began to think, what inspired me to follow my vocation? And it struck me that the quotation, I didn't at the time even know it was a quotation. I didn't even know at the time that it was from Isaiah. But I will save you. Don't be afraid. I'm calling you by name and I will save you. And that really struck me. And it gave me a kind of a freedom. It was like a key opening a door.
For me, a deep joy was participation in the Constitutions Commission when we were writing our new constitutions. And I was very young when I was called to it, and I'm not one who usually, I'm very hesitant, I don't have the gifts and whatever, but for some reason, I was moved to respond to it. And that time that was spent in Rome, but being with an international community, experiencing our internationality, and recognizing the deep gift that that is, even though we're small, we have a global heart. And at the same time, with that small group, having the privilege of receiving the feedback from all the areas of the congregation and what was being lifted up of our essence as a congregation, it was amazing to me how united, how we were very much the same in our difference. And I think that's part of the key to our relationship in the world today. And during my time as a Holy Union sister, I've had several people who are not Holy Union sisters pick up the very essence of what we've been saying this morning, the simplicity, the presence, and the relationship, which is key. And I just, my hope is that we can continue to be that yeast, that seed for that wherever we are, to heal the wounds of division and violence that are so prevalent now.